guys, so today we're talking about two different things. We're going to go through all the different kinds of squats, how to brace for it, how to brace your core and kind of not just like crash and burn in the bottom, how you should be breathing when you squat. Like we'll talk about thrusters, overhead squats, back squat, front squat, wall balls, and then also sitting into your quads and trying not to hinge at your hip too much and preventing like your lower back from getting fired up and everything. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to start with the back squat. So this applies to the air squat as well, so we'll do that at the end. But so with the back squat, typically when you're taught with the back squat, you unrack the bar, back, you're right here. And most of the time what people tend to naturally do is they'll send their hips back. And then, and you can keep your chest up here. So you send your hips back, you keep your knees out, tracking your knees over your toes, and you break parallel. My hips are below the crease of my knee. I'm right here. My chest is still relatively upright. And I'm right here. But then, what happens when you have 405 pounds on the bar sometimes? It turns into kind of this good morning if you send your hips back too far. So what I'm trying to say is, what I've been incorporating in CrossFit classes lately is slightly breaking at the hip. So this versus this. So I'm breaking at the hip right here. I'm sitting straight down. I'm sitting more into my quads, and I'm right here, rather than unhinging at my hip, like super sending my butt back. So I'm right here. My lower back is already like super tight and fired up right here. And then when I'm right here, it's hard for me to stay nice and upright when you have 315 on the bar. But all I'm saying is unhinge your hips, sit straight down, just like you're sitting on the toilet. Just like that. So unhinging your hips slightly, sending your knees over your toes, and sitting into your quads more. So what I want everyone to do is we're gonna all get in our squat stance. So our regular air squat stance, okay? And all I want you guys to do is I want you to just sit straight down. So all we're gonna do is together, all right? I'm gonna say ready, and go, and then you guys are gonna slowly descend into your squat, like a three count pace. Cool. You're doing it the way you said that? Yeah, sitting into your quads. Yep. All right, here we go. Go. 1,000, 2,000, 3. Good, go ahead and stand back up. Nice. Now, air squat, how you normally do. Don't even think about it. Just do it. Good, good. Okay, awesome. So you guys all actually have pretty good air squats. So you're all CrossFit. Typically, when I was teaching the 5 a.m. class, and I was talking to Pia after we did air squats, can't remember what day it was, and she was unhinging her hips, and it might have been Pia or someone else, but she was unhinging her hips, setting her butt down, and then kind of having her butt not between her heels. So that's what we're shooting for when we sit into our quads. We want our butt to try to be as close into our heels as we can. So right here, so my butt's kind of sitting in between my heels rather than sending my butt back and kind of just doing this kind of a motion, which your chest is still relatively upright and you're cruising, but you're kind of butt winking at the bottom and you're firing up your lower back. So that's what we want to try to avoid. So, and then the same thing applies to the overhead squat. I'm just going to go through all the squats. So I'll do 2 reps with the back squat here, sitting into my quads. So this is a bad rep right here. Not a bad rep, but an inefficient rep. So right here, a little inefficient right here, sitting into my quads, barely unhinging my hip, sitting straight down. My chest is super upright. And then we have a front squat here. Elbows are still nice and high, set up just like you normally do for a front squat. Bad rep right here, and then there's a good rep right here. And then we have the overhead squat. This one is especially important to try to sit in your quads more. The bad rep, you can tend to lose that bar up front. Good rep, sitting straight into my quads. Cool? All right. Now that's pretty important, but the most important thing is, like the reason why we want to do that is because when we do a clean, when we do a snatch, when you catch your snatch, you can tend to kind of fall forward if your butt goes back a little bit. You can fix your catch position by fixing your back squat, essentially. So if you're normally in your jump stance, that's how I cue people in barbell club, is find your jump stance, bring the bar in close, right over your toes, right here, you get set up, and then you catch. I teach them, I'm like, I want your butt to be in between your heels when you catch the bar. I don't want your butt to be way out here. I don't know if you can see, but I don't know if you want your butt, you don't want your butt to be way out here. You want to be right here and as upright as you possibly can be, because that bar is right over your body, and you can stand it up versus kind of being in this position and having your hips super far back, and then losing that bar behind, you're losing it out front. So that's the main reason why. Same with the clean. You want to catch your clean just like your front squatting. It should look absolutely identical. If you see like Dmitry Klokov do a clean and then do a front squat, like from the rack, absolutely identical catch position and like front rack position. So you're right here. I'm sitting into my quads, my butt's right in between my heels, versus like right here, and then you lose that bar up front. That's the main reason why. I used to lose the bar up front all the time. I mean, not as much anymore. It's just if I can't get it up, I just can't stand it up. It's too much weight. Now we're gonna talk about breathing and bracing. Do any of you guys like brace when you do an air squat? Or like a back squat? Yeah? Todd does. Yeah. So basically, there's just a couple cues that I would use to use with your athletes. So when you're front squatting, I want to make sure, first of all, you try to have a full grip on the bar, maybe fingertips. Doesn't matter which one. It just matters which one you're more comfortable with. So I'm right here. I have the bar in the front squat position. Basically, what I tell people is like, most of the time they're like, and they hold their breath the entire time, and then by the time they ascend from the squat, their lights out. What you want to be is you want to take a big deep breath. And that part when I'm the tightest, like where I'm the tightest position, is I'm in the bottom. So I'm right here. And that helps me keep my lower back preventing from being fired up and keeping my core nice and tight. So let's go ahead and try that real quick. So let's do a couple of air squats here. So take a deep breath, and then when you guys hit about like rock bottom, exhale like through your mouth, through your nose, like really exaggerate it. Don't just be like, it's kind of be like stay nice and tight. All right, let's exhale, inhale and exhale. Go ahead and do 3 reps. Yeah. So, and the thing is, like if you're doing, say you're doing a 20-minute AMRAP, 20 wall balls, 20 thrusters, and 20 cleans, which probably would never happen because it's a terrible workout. But your lower back is being used a lot. And to try to prevent that from getting fired up, like, maybe from minute 0 to 10, your lower back's immediately fired up. Maybe you can limit that from getting fired up to like minute 15. Because your lower back's gonna start to hurt no matter what, pretty much, and it's gonna start to get fatigued.
So, in Metcon, if you're either doing like air squats or wall balls, are you still going to have that exaggerated breath, or is it going to be kind of a more relaxed breath? I'm not necessarily for like heavy cleans or like heavy squats, but if it's something lighter like an air squat or a wall ball, is it still going to be, or is it going to be? No.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little different. So when you're, I don't know if you've ever heard when, you ran a marathon, but I don't know if you,
I didn't prepare.
I don't know if you ever heard that the term like belly breathing with runners. Like you want to breathe through your stomach to prevent like any kind of cramping in your stomach or like from firing your chest up or your traps up, which happens to me because I don't know how to breathe. But when I run, so basically during a Metcon, so we'll talk about the Metcon breathing and then the lifting. So the Metcon breathing is you want to be breathing in through your nose and your mouth kind of at the same time and fill your stomach with air. So you want to be like, and your stomach should be going out. Like you should have a little bit of a belly. So you should be like. So try to breathe through your nose, breathe through your mouth. Your heart rate's going to get elevated a little bit quicker. So your breathing's going to be a little bit different. And then of course when you're 20 minutes into like a 30-minute workout, it's gonna change. Like 16.1, like there's no way you can keep the same breathing pattern the entire time. It's just try to brace every time. So when you're gonna keep breathing. So when you inhale, try to make your exhale when you're in the whatever movement you're doing. Like if you're doing a muscle up, take a deep breath. When you press out, try to exhale. So try to exhale when you're in the movement when you have like the most tension. So with the thruster, when you're in the bottom of the thruster, brace in the bottom, and then when you're at the top, relax, take a deep breath. When you hit the bottom, like get a lot of tension, exhale, and then go. With the clean, you kind of want to take a deep breath. It's a little bit different. So if you're right here, I'm at mid shin. Take a deep breath. So say my setup is I go 1, 2, 3, go. So I'm right here. I go 1, 2, 3. and then stand it up. Okay? So it's a little bit different. You can take a deep breath through your mouth. What I do is I like to open my mouth before I go. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much bracing and sitting into your quads. I don't have much else to say.
That's something that I think I'll definitely start utilizing. I think I do that too much, like pushing my butt back, and it for sure flares my back up and my knees too. But I think it's because I used to squat really vertically, and it's definitely more of a weightlifter type style. At least that's what I'm familiar with, right? Is that the more vertically you keep your torso, the more your butt is close to your ankles, the more vertical you can be, and obviously it transfers more to your thing and your snatch. It's interesting how in weightlifting that it's something that's really popular or like tucked, and then you get into the CrossFit world, and it's not so much the case.
It's kind of more powerlifting-esque, where low bar and then sit into your hamstrings and not your quads.
I went to that level too. There were a couple of people in my little group when we were analyzing everyone's air squat. And everyone, I mean, just like this group, everyone's got really great air squats because we're all CrossFit coaches. But the issues were with mine and this other lady, because we probably weightlift a little bit more than the other folks. And this one lady, I mean, she was like this tiny little, just obviously weightlifter, and her squat was straight, just like super vertical, like hips barely came back, super set in quads. So it's just kind of interesting, and maybe it's if the way you incorporate it in a CrossFit classes. I think it could just be not over cueing the whole like hips back thing, because we do run into that issue where people's chests drop dramatically.
And then they wonder why they miss cleans.
So maybe you do like, instead of cueing like hips back and making that a big thing, just like you can over cue knees out, it's like, hey, try to sit straight down. For the person who does go too far back, that's for the person who try to sit more in your quads. And I think it's a really great thing. I think I could use that cue. I do have another question. With all the volume that you do with your CrossFit and weightlifting, with that style of squat, sitting in your quads, do you I mean, I don't see you ever do like knee wraps or anything. Do you have any knee discomfort?
Your knees will get a little irritated, but I also work out very long every day. It's not like if you're doing a class a day, you'll be okay. But I mean, yeah, you're gonna need to ice your knees. You're gonna need to take care of them. Maybe some heat or ibuprofen.
I mean, I'm curious. Do your knees? I mean, your knees obviously don't bother you so much that you can wrap your knees all the time, but I don't ever see you with knee wraps or knee sleeves. I mean,
I wear knee sleeves.
Yeah. You don't have knee sleeves on.
Oh, not right now. No. But when I'm
typically, I feel like I don't see you on. And with that style of squat and with all the volume that you do, it's impressive that your knees are able to stay healthy.
I think it definitely strengthens. You'll feel your knees more if you squat, sitting straight down rather than sending your butt back.
That's a good point. True. Like my knees could be bothering me because my hips are going too far back.
Yeah.
You're like compensating for the angle that you're putting yourself at.
My knees, to answer your question, I don't know why I went on a tangent, but to answer your question, when I sit into my quads more, my knees feel better than if I. Like after 16.5. After 16.5, I did thrusters. Yeah.
When I was doing that deadlift cycle, my knees were really starting to bug me, but then as soon as I started doing full range squatting again, they feel fine. And I'm trying to squat like that, where I'm sitting straight down.
Yeah. But also, and then a really good cue, just to kind of end it on this, really good cue to sit into your quads is try to get your knees as far over your toes as you can. Which a lot of people get scared with that quad.
Cue.
Well, that quad. A lot of people get scared of that cue because they're like, okay, now my knees want to come in a little bit more.
Or they can't do it because their ankles are tight.
Heels come off the ground, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. If the heels down and let your knees carry over, that's a hard thing for something.
And it's a really good drill to do in like warm up. If you're about to back squat, just be like, all right, everybody practice 10 good air squats, getting your knees as far over your toes as you can. And some people are going to come up on their heels, and then you just say, okay, get a little bit above parallel, your heels come back down, and then try to sit down in the middle. So it's cool. But yeah.
Yay.
Great job.
Yeah.